Welcome to another episode of Your Country, Your Government, Your Development. Today we have with us Mr. Nizam Hassan, the head of the Guyana Rice Development Board, who will be speaking to us about developments in the rice industry. Welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Senika.
Okay, can you give us an update on the current situation in the rice industry in terms of production and export?
Sure. When we look at the figures for the entire year at the end of November, it's 1,048,000 plus metric tons of paddy that has been harvested, which is equivalent to 681,517 tons of rice. Comparing that production to the production for the entire of 2014, we're 7% more at the end of November for all of the production for 2014. This reflects favorably, and this is because of the approaches that our farmers and all the other stakeholders have put into the industry to have the rice farmers and the rice industry the level where it is. With respect to exports, notwithstanding that we lost a great portion, as much as 30% of our export markets at the end of June, Venezuela market falling off, we're 10% more at the end of November. It's 497,176 tons we've exported thus far for the period January to November, compared to 451,422 tons for the same period. So this is a favorable position that Guyana is in, notwithstanding that we have not been exporting to Venezuela, and Venezuela represented at that time and for previous years about 30% of our export markets. So generally speaking, in terms of production and exports, the country has fared very well in that aspect.
Okay, in terms of figures anticipated, let's say by the end of this year, in terms of export, what are we looking at?
We're optimistic that we will surpass all of last year's export. Of course, we expect that it will be in the double digits, but let's see what will happen in December. So far, given the contracts that we have on board at the end of October, there was almost 200,000 tons of rice contracts that were committed to by the private millers, and thus we are seeing that exports are ongoing, so we expect to surpass that figure that we did in 2014.
Can you tell us about the relationship between millers and farmers, as they seem to be always an acronym?
Yeah.
Over payments.
It's a mixed relationship. The farmers depend on the millers, and likewise the millers depend on the farmers. There are challenges sometimes when it comes to payments. Some millers, I have to say that some millers have been very good millers, and they've been paying within, even before the 42-day period that is specified. Some millers have been paying after 14 days. Some farmers get 50% of their payment, and at the end of 30 days, they get the other 50%. However, we have some millers who also have gone past that 42-day period, and they have not been paying the farmers on a timely basis. So with respect to the relationship, it's more on payments. There are some issues sometimes in terms of the grades that the farmers receive for their paddy. This is because the millers, there's a schedule of grading the paddy, and thus the millers will grade based on the quality that they receive. So we have the issue of payment, grades, and then also we have the issue of the prices being offered for paddy. When Guyana was exporting to Venezuela, farmers were paid as much as, in some cases, slightly above $3,000 per bag of paddy. Because the rice is being traded at open and world market prices, which are lower than the prices that Venezuela was offering or was given to Guyana, the farmers are receiving lower than $3,000. In this last crop of 2015, in some cases when the quality is really, really low, it went down to as low as $1,000 per bag, but as much as $2,400 to $2,600 per bag of paddy, farmers will pay that, depending on the grades that they receive for the quality of paddy supply.
Okay. New markets were being sought, especially at the level of the Prime Minister in Mexico. Could you tell us more about this?
Yes. We've had two conference calls with one with the private sector officials in Mexico, which is the Mexican Rice Council, and then also the public sector agency, DICONASA, which is an agency in Mexico that does imports. Well, sorry, not does the import, but they supply food products, of which rice is one of them, to a certain segment of the Mexican population. We're in discussions with both parties. The conference call was favorably received, both calls. Guyana has supplied the phytosanitary information that is required by Mexico, and we have indicated to Mexico that we want to accelerate that process. And thus we're going through that period of establishing the necessary protocols with Mexico with respect to the phytosanitary arrangements.
Apart from that, there has been has there been any breakthrough with new markets?
Well, let me answer you that after Venezuela fell out, the millers, as well as the government, of course, was accelerating its efforts in terms of talking to new and potential buyers. And there's a lot of discussions that have been happening because of the interest from overseas in our rice, people wanting to represent us, people wanting to buy our rice. With respect to the markets, more of our rice and paddy has been exported to Europe now because of the fallout with Venezuela. And we have an ongoing contract with the Panamanians who have been buying. They've bought 2 sets of rice thus far for 2015. And we're about concluding another contract. In December, we'll conclude another contract for the supply of another quantity of rice to that country.
Okay, on that note, can you tell us who do we supply rice to at the moment?
In terms of the countries?
Yes, countries.
Oh, it's a full range of, within CARICOM, we have Antigua, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, the full range of CARICOM countries, including Suriname. We also send rice to. In terms of the European Union, we have France, Belgium, French Guyana, Lithuania, Guadeloupe, a full list of countries. So as a bloc, CARICOM, the European Union, Latin, South America, and of course North America, we send a small amount of rice to the United States of America.
What are your expectations for the rice industry, let's say over the next 5 years or so?
Oh, definitely the rice industry is poised to grow and develop and contribute significantly as it has done and has been doing to the Guyanese economy. Given what is happening globally, the issues of food security and the issues of where countries need more food, Guyana has the ability to supply. There's no question about that. I think all the stakeholders in the industry recognize that, from the producers, the millers, the business persons, and even the policymakers. They recognize that Guyana, we have the ability to supply to the markets. And notwithstanding the efforts of other countries, we're very confident and optimistic that we can supply the product that is needed by the market from now and into the future.
You mentioned that this industry has been contributing to the country's economy, but how much does it contribute to our GDP?
Rice contributes 20% of agriculture GDP and 4% of the overall GDP of the country.
What has been government's interventions with regards to rice for 2015?
There have been challenges. I mentioned earlier, there's been challenges with payments. So earlier this year, the government has advanced some millers who were waiting payments to pay the farmers. The government has advanced monies to the farmers to help them offset their whole cash flow situation. And once they got paid, they then repaid the money to the government. So that's one. All the services of the GRDB, extension services and all those things are being done at no cost to the farmers. The drainage and irrigation work that is being done is also done at no cost to the farmer. So these are some of the ways in which government has been providing its support to the industry.
Mr. Hassan, thank you for being on our program.
My pleasure, Sanika.
This has been another episode of Your Country, Your Government, Your Development. This week we were in discussion with Mr. Nizam Hassan, head of the Guyana Rice Development Board. Thank you for staying with us.